Good working with you, Josh.
I appreciate it. We were talking earlier, and you mentioned the 3 stages of a farmer's mindset, and that's I paraphrase that. You've got the beginning phase.
Yeah, everything's jolly, optimistic. We're going to have the best year of our lives every spring. It's spring fever.
Right. And then we get to halfway through, crops are up out of the ground. We're all tired. We're just run ragged. I feel that right now. I'm pushing through it. And it's, but we've started to have our first hurdles. We've got insect pressure in this. We've got hail damage on the wheat over in this area.
Yeah, in that area.
We've got too much water here. And in this area, we're too dry.
You got weeds coming in.
That's right. Weed pressure. Can we get out there? Are we going to stress our crops too much because of this? Do we pull this out of the tank mix? I'm trying to figure out whether to pull one thing out of my corn post right now because the corn has literally grown so fast. And you get to a certain point, there are certain herbicides you don't want to put on a corn crop.
Yeah, herbicides stressful, even to the crops that are meant to take it.
Exactly. And we're actually going to talk about mitigating herbicide stress here in a little bit. And then we get to, I'd say, the summer when, as you said, we're either at the totally screw it stage, we're done, we can't do anything else, or there's more room to go.
Yeah.
And
that's the stage I like. More room to go.
More room to go. And, well, we all want that stage. None of us want to have to abandon a crop.
No, not at all.
And then just so the audience knows, we sat here and we talked and I scribbled notes and I came back and put them in order of how I think, how to best flow with this because there's a lot of information and I was sitting there learning. I'm learning. This is amazing. I'm taking notes and I'm like, okay, let's just lead the podcast in this direction. You've got the beginning, and I was like, that's perfect because we've got the beginning stages, we've got the middle stage, we've got I'd say most people's post-emerge herbicide applications. They've already come through some hurdles, and we don't know exactly how the year is going to go, but we have an idea. We're part of the way there. And so, what do we do around that post-herbicide application time frame to mitigate stress that we induce with the herbicide?
Farming is stressful.
That's right. Farming is stressful. You're either being stressed or inducing stress.
That's true.
And then you've got and then I think, and then we've got the last leg of the lap. As Johnny said, you don't put your slowest runner last. Put your fastest runner last. And I think that was great. I'm like, okay, perfect, because now towards the end of this lap, if we're looking at if this is a bad year, how do we handle that? How do we approach that? If this is a good year, how do we handle that? How do we approach that? Because it's two different approaches. Mm-hmm. And then I had just a random side question of hybrids and nitrogen use, and you made a great point, and I want to visit back on that. But anyway, I want to. So we're in the beginning.
It's a good time of year.
It's a good time.
I love walking fields this time of year.
Yeah, the optimistic time of the year. But I asked you, I said, what was the most? I asked your friend, I said, do you like in-furrow? And you said, and I said, do you think every planter should have a in-furrow system on it? I'd love your opinion on that because you've worked literally all over the world.
Yeah.
And then you commented on early stages of impact, and I think that was a great way to segue or lead out with this. Is
absolutely
how do we affect the plant early?
Early is the most important stage of plant growth and development. When you have the developing seed, the baby, the changes that you make then are going to affect that crop for the entire year. So you're not going to change the genetics of that seed, but you're going to change the expression of that genetics. So if you start your seed off in what appears to the seed to be a very highly productive environment, the speed of that genetics is going to work faster, and that rate of transformation or growth is going to continue for the entire length of the crop.
Sure.
So if you're going to cut everything out, don't cut out that first application. You really want a seed treatment or an in-furrow application when the seed is germinating, when it imbibes the water.
So say a guy has, say he's sitting there looking at his budget, and he's looking at what is one additional thing I can do to impact my crop at the greatest possible point. It's the beginning phase.
The beginning phase, absolutely.
Okay.
And yeah, if you're only doing one thing, do something to the seed.
Sure. Seed
Treatment or buy an in-furrow.
Sure. Exactly. Well, in seed treat, it would probably, in the world of logistics and everything else, it would probably be easier and cheaper to either find a neighbor that has a seed treater.
Oh, yeah.
Or go in with some neighbors on one, or maybe you've got your own setup. I have seen some really interesting seed treatment mechanisms, contraptions, what it might be.
For a lot of our research, we're doing it in a Harbor Freight cement mixer.
Yeah.
With a calibrated amount that goes on the seed.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I have seen guys with, an electric pump and a 25-gallon tank and a flat fan nozzle spraying seed as it goes down and up the drill.
Absolutely.
And guess what? That's okay. The sky's the limit on what you can spend on a seed treater. The sky's the limit. And in a rough ag economy, high dollar seed treater is, personally, not something I would probably necessarily look at. I look at other options. Splitting one, finding someone that already has one.
I'm seeing a lot of locals that are, regionally, that they're putting in a seed treater and then they're keeping it running by doing all the seed in the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to your seed dealer and be like, hey, is this something, can I pay you? I know you don't sell this, but I've got this product I'd love to put on my seed. Could I work a deal with you where you would treat my seed with this? And is there any way I can help you to facilitate that?
Absolutely.
You know.
Seed treatments are really good for the farmer. And if you ever see, in all that marketing material, someone's going to come at it and market a 12-to-1, a 30-to-1 ROI on an application, those are all from seed treatments.
Okay.
It's because you're directly targeting only what you want to target.
Sure.
The soil is like an ocean. So if you target the whole soil, it takes a lot more volume than if you just target that seed.
Got it.
And I know some of these crops we can't seed treat. There's different warranty rules and guarantees on the seed.
Okay.
And you don't want to void that warranty.
Okay.
And that's where our in-furrow applications come from.
Gotcha.
So we can do an in-furrow application to even guaranteed and warranted seed without violating that warranty.
So in the regards to seed, there are some. I guess it wouldn't be illegal to add seed treatment to a seed, but I guess there's some. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I
can a little bit, because I'm not really in the seed business.
Sure.
I did train in breeding and genetics back in school, and somehow I got into the fertilizer industry, fertilizer, hormones, biostimulants.
Yeah.
So I'm a little removed from there. We should talk to our seed dealers.
Sure.
But I know corn, for instance, is notorious. You can buy a seed package on that corn. But if we were to seed treat your corn, it could violate the replant warranties that you would have against failure.
Gotcha.
So I know beans, a lot of the times there's nothing on.
Okay.
Wheat, oats, some of those crops.
Naked seed.
Yeah, so we can very easily and no legal ramifications treat those.
Gotcha.
But corn becomes quite a challenge. And I have to say, I'm not farming large acres of land, but if I was, I would really be concerned about the seed warranty. Because the replant guarantees on these things. That's a nice safety net to have.
Absolutely.
And you're taking so many risks as a farmer to begin with. I mean, let's keep the safety nets we have in place.
Yeah, well, I would say check with your local dealer or with your seed dealers, your representative, and say, hey, if I do this seed treatment, is that going to void a warranty?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure it's not going to avoid any of your replant warranties on the seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say it's mostly a concern in corn. I don't think I've seen it in any other crop.
Yeah, and farmer can take that and do as he wills with it. It's each guy's decision to make on his operation whether to have that conversation or not.
Well, and that's where that in-furrow comes from.
Right, and so if it's like, man, there's a holdup here, and you are concerned about it, and you're like, Yeah, I don't know if I want to avoid that. I'm going to go to an in-furrow program.
Yeah, because
And that's what I've got. I've got in-furrow program, and I really enjoy that targeted application.
you have to address the baby.
You do.
That's when those genetic effects are being expressed.
Okay.
So if you can get that rate of expression to move faster, because the in-furrow, right? If you have all the colostrum, basically, in that in-furrow mix, when the seed imbibes that liquid, it feels and senses the environment, and then it makes its decisions on how to grow based on the environment that it's in. The seed is actually very smart. And if it's in a highly productive environment, at least in the furrow, or thinks it is, it's going to grow faster, bigger, harder. You're going to get those thicker stems. You're going to get rapid emergence. And that rate of expression is going to carry the entire season of the plant.
Sure.
If it starts as a malnutritious runt, it's going to die a malnutritious runt in the end.
I see. So we talk about balance. Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.